When you're going to sew an artistic teddy bear, it can be quite difficult to choose the right fur fabric for it. Fur fabrics come in various textures, lengths, and densities. The fabrics may also be made of different fibers. In this video, I'll guide you on selecting the right fur fabric for your jointed teddy bears and help you avoid common mistakes. Watch to the end to get all the helpful tips I'm going to give you. Hi everyone, I'm Olga, a bear maker from Germany. I have designed and created teddy bears since 2015, and I remember how difficult it was in the beginning of my bear making journey when I had to decide which fur fabric to order for my toys. After all, the final look and feel of the bear depends on the material chosen. So let's talk about the key factors to consider when making this decision. First of all, let's talk about what exactly an artist teddy bear with jointed connections is, and why it's so important to choose the right fabric for it. An artist teddy bear usually means a tightly stuffed teddy bear with 5 articulated joints in the neck, shoulders and hips that allow it to sit in different poses. The head of such bears is usually stuffed very tightly, as it needs to be stable, so one could needle sculpt it, attach the eyes, make an embroidery of the nose and mouth, and sew on the ears. The fabric needs to remain firm when the bear's head and limbs are moved. It shouldn't twist around the joints. Therefore, the fabric from which such a bear is sewn must be durable and inelastic. Usually, furry fabrics for teddy bears have one thing in common. Their backside is a woven cotton material. It's pretty strong and not stretchy. Now let's talk about how these materials differ. Fabrics for teddy bears vary in terms of fur fiber material. The most popular are mohair, alpaca, viscose, synthetic and mixed fibers. Mohair fur is actually goat's wool woven onto a cotton base. As you can see, mohair is smooth and slightly shiny. It's very comfortable to work with. Mohair is one of my favorite bear making materials. I use it very often in my projects. For example, these bears are made of mohair. This material is pricey but worth it. Alpaca is usually matte and very dense. I'm absolutely in love with this fur fabric. Of this material, one can make wonderful bears. It's very warm to the touch and hides the cotton base of the fabric perfectly. The only disadvantage of this fur is its price. But when I can afford it, I order some and never regret it. I'm very interested to hear what your favorite materials are. Please write about it in the comments. Maybe there are materials that I don't know anything about yet and I should try them in my art. Viscose fabric that you can find in bear making stores is very thin and soft, so it follows all the shapes of the pattern very well. It's much cheaper than mohair and alpaca fabrics. What I don't like about viscose is that its backside is too thin and delicate, and its fiber tends to tangle during the work on the bear. Synthetic fur is very soft and fluffy. It is usually the most inexpensive of all. I'm not excited about its look and feel, so I rarely use this kind of fabric. Now let's talk about the other properties of bear making fabrics. Fabrics for teddy bears come with fur in different lengths, from 3 to 70 mm. Fur can be dense, medium dense, and sparse. It comes in a variety of colors, including dyed in 2 colors, such as this gorgeous alpaca having tips of a different shade. The fur can be straight, curly, felted. There is also the so-called string mohair. This is what it looks like. Or there is a very special hedgehog mohair, like this one. For the paw pads of your teddy bears, you can take any non-stretchy and durable fabric, because usually the feet and hands of the bear are stuffed very tightly. For this purpose, you can take a mini stove wool felt, false weight, or woven cotton fabric, which can be also reinforced with an iron-on interfacing. At the beginning, I promised you some tips, and here they are. Tip 1. Pick fabrics with a woven backside and no stretch in the warp and weft. Tip 2. Choose the length of the fur pile depending on the size of the bear you are going to make. Usually, the smaller the bear, the shorter the fur I would recommend you to use. I can tell you how I define the length of the fur for my bears. Maybe you'll find this method helpful. I take the bear's height in centimeters, divided by 2, and use the value as the recommended fur length in millimeters. Then I can add or subtract a couple of millimeters if I make a more or less fluffy teddy. It usually works great for my bears. I'd like to show you some examples. For the bear about 12 centimeters tall, I have chosen a 6 millimeters alpaca fur. The 20 centimeters bear I have made of a 10 millimeters mohair. The 33 centimeters bear is made of a 16 millimeters mohair. Tip 3. If you are going to make a bear from someone else's pattern and the description of the pattern says which fur is better to choose for this project, then I advise you to follow this recommendation, because otherwise you may be very surprised on how different your bear looks compared to the bear in the picture of the pattern. By the way, in my pattern's description, I always write what kind of fur I recommend for this particular project. If you want to make toys like mine, I have left a link in the description where you can buy my patterns. Tip 4. If you want the base of the fabric not to show through the fur pile, choose dense fur. Tip 5. If you want all the shapes to be visible and not hidden under the fur, take short or sparse fur. Tip 6. If you want to sew a bear in a realistic style, you need a matte and dense fur. In this case, I advise you to have a look at alpaca. Tip 7. For a classic bear, I would definitely pick a piece of beautiful German mohair. Tip 8. If you cannot find any fabric with an inelastic backside, take a stretchy one and reinforce the backside with an iron-on interfacing. Tip 9. If you're making an unjointed bear with safety eyes and nose, which should be stuffed softly, you can use stretchy fabrics as well. Tip 10. Remember that these recommendations are just tips, not rules. Always trust your creative instincts. As artists, we are free to choose materials to bring our creative ideas to life without any unnecessary constraints, aren't we? I hope this video was helpful to you, and now you can easily choose the best material for your next teddy bear. Thanks for watching and happy bear making! Bye bye!